Is marriage for white people? That's the question being asked by an author of a new book. Is marriage for white people? How the African-American marriage decline affects everyone. It's got a lot of people talking right now. Stanford law professor Ralph Richard Banks says it's time for black women too. This is a quote. Give up the good fight on marrying a black man. Here he is.
The way I think of that is that women have been asked to carry a great load. Black women shoulder a lot of the burden, in short, of black men's struggles. And I am asking women to put the burden down. Many women think that they're attracted to black men. They are attracted to black men. But attraction itself is complicated. And one of the things that I discovered in the course of writing this book is that there's a whole host of fears and desires and anxieties that animate black women's attraction to black men.
Okay, Banks recently wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal and said that 70% of black women aren't married. That's roughly true. Okay, so is it time for single, educated, and working black women to just forget the notion of marrying a black man and look outside their race?
What's up, Authentic fam? Welcome back to Authentic Alphas. It's your boy Ayindei, and it's time to have another authentic conversation. So as you can tell by the intro, we're going to get into a little bit more of this divestment issue. And the clip that I just put there for you guys is actually 10 years old. And there's a reason why I selected that clip, because one of the things that I want to highlight is the fact that none of this is organic. None of the things that you see in Western society are organic. None of the things that you see in the black community are organic. All of these things are by design. Okay, now the best way that I think that anyone can really analyze these tactics is just simply look at a farm. Most people aren't familiar with farms. Most people aren't necessarily brought up on farms. There are people that are from rural areas that are a little bit more familiar with that culture. But there is a lot of parallels in the way that they domesticate animals and the way that they indoctrinate human beings. A lot of similarities, a lot of parallels. And the main one is how they condition the female of any given species and create a dependency on, say, the farmer. When you're in regards to humans, that would be the establishment. And they break the connection between the female of the species and the male of the species, right? So this is a very, very useful tactic when you're trying to domesticate an animal and you're trying to get the species to behave manageably, easily managed. And of course, the females of the species is going to pass a lot of these behaviors and conditioning on to the offspring. And then you can begin to eliminate the male of that species down to a very, very small population that you only need for breeding. And that's exactly what they're doing with humans. It's really not that hard to see, but I'm pointing it out because it's obviously going over the entire population's head. So let's point out a couple of things about that clip. You know, before I move on, I got plenty of clips for you guys. So that clip is 10 years old, right? But if you read in between the lines, you can start to identify how the mainstream media conditions the human mind. They present these issues and they act as if they're showing you two different sides, when number one, what they're doing is limiting you to only two views. And then the view that they want to prevail is obviously going to be the one that they pitch. That they pitch with the support. I don't know if that makes any sense. But okay, so right now you see this lady. She's obviously reading off of a teleprompter, and she's presenting this book that's written by this author. Okay, now you have to pay attention. That author is what you would call a talking head, and he's put there to appear as if he's an authority on some type of subject, right? The irony is this particular author is actually married to a black woman. So right there's a thick layer of hypocrisy, because the book is about black women giving up on marrying black men, yet his wife is actually black. But that's neither here nor there. Let's just focus on the mental conditioning that they're using, the propaganda that they're using, and how they're getting this into women's minds. Now, you fast forward to present day, and this divestment movement is getting huge. But if you go back 15, 16 years ago, they were already gradually planting the seed. The same way that they use hip-hop to plant this criminal seed in our youth, and before hip-hop, they were using black exploitation films. So really what they're doing is they're using different forms of media to convey the same messages, and they gradually condition a culture. It's called cultural engineering or social engineering, you guys should really check out some books on these topics, man. It's very, very interesting. Let's just say I had a lot of time in prison. All right, so we pointed out how this media clip is over 10 years old and how they were already implanting these messages into women's heads. And if you look at the choice of words that she uses when she says, should educated conservative black women give up on black men? Okay, so right there, she's stroking the ego and pandering to these women and speaking as if these women are just so sophisticated, they're so educated. The problem couldn't be them, it would have to be black men. As if only black women can be educated, as if only black women could be sophisticated. So you're trying to draw a clear difference between certain black women and certain other black women's, as to say that these women are deserving of marriage. Okay, is being educated make you deserving of marriage? It actually doesn't. The statistics show that the more educated women are, is the less desirable they are for marriage, right? So there's some irony and some hypocrisy right there in how she chose to kind of divvy up the women in the black community. Then the next thing is, how is it that we can differentiate black women? Not all black women, but yet these very same black women are saying all black men. So which one is it? We can't generalize black women, but we can generalize black men? And they're avoiding the point that's being made by most men that speak on these topics. When I'm talking about black women, I'm talking about a specific mentality. I'm not talking about skin complexion, all right? For women that are supposed to be so educated, I don't know why that keeps on escaping them. But I'm talking about a particular classification of people that accept and entertain the title of black. If that's what you want to be called, then what else can I call you? But I'm not talking about a skin complexion. Now, across the board, these so-called black women tend to have a certain mentality, regardless if they're educated or if they're a LaQuisha or a Sharonda or whatever other ghetto name the imagination comes up with. They still have this underlined hate for black men. It's just something that's already woven into the culture. Regardless of the life choices that these women make, they still all have that in common.
Have a black couple here who says, hello, I'm right here. Joining us more to talk about this is Lamar and Ronnie Tyler, bloggers for Black and Married with Kids. All right, Tyler, so I guess my first question is, what is your reaction to what you have just heard? A lot of people have been talking about this.
I just think the book is dangerous, and it's sending a dangerous message.
Dangerous?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely think it is just perpetuating all of the negative stereotypes that are out there. And now is the time for black people to come together and to work together, not to look outside of our community for the answers.
Dangerous how so? And I want you to answer this because he seems to be putting a lot of negativity out there on black men.
Sure. Well, I think what he's done is created a perfect mechanism to sell books, but not so much to help African-American women.
All right.
And I think, that's he's portraying this like this is some type of help tool for them, but not at all. I think anytime when you say that one entire group of people, specifically based on race, is bad and another group is good, then it doesn't make any sense at all. It's not helping anybody. Instead, the conversation should be, if there are problems in the African-American community, how can we uplift the community? What can we do to show them that marriage is positive, to show them that parenting is positive and where it's at, instead of, making notions like these that basically just get you on TV, in the media all the time and allow you to sell books.
Well, because some of the numbers that he put out there are true. A white woman is twice as likely to get married as a black woman. Some of what he is saying is true. Is what you take exception to what you say are solutions that aren't actually solutions? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Solutions that are not actually solutions. So if it's true, let's get down to why it's true and bring forth real solutions for the black community.
Pay very close attention to this couple, right? Because this is another tactic that the mainstream media uses. And basically what it is the Hegelian dialect. And what it is when you create two opposing sides and you act as if you're genuinely having a debate or you're genuinely comparing the two perspectives and the two proposed solutions, but somehow you've already chosen which one you want to prevail. So they brought this couple on, which actually have an excellent argument. They're actually looking at it very, very intelligently, very, very practically. They're being rational. They're being reasonable, right? And they make it seem as if they're giving these people the space to say what they need to say, but yet that's all going to get overshadowed by the main agenda that they're pushing, which is that black women are not the problem, black men are the problem, and that they need to deviate and go ahead and divest. All right. So the rest of this video is pretty much going to be me pointing out a couple of examples of what I see going on. I'm going to start off with the youth because I like to start with the youth and kind of work our way up. But more so towards the middle and end of the video, what it's really going to consist of is several reasons as to why this whole divestment movement just isn't going to work. And trust me, ladies, I wish it would work for you, but it's not. So we're going to get into why it's not going to work. But I also want you to watch this video with a mind so open as that we're not even necessarily talking about black women. That's how deep this mind programming is that it really isn't even about black women and black men. This is just about women and men being conditioned in general. And I'm going to try to point out how none of what is really on the table is any different than what white women, Latin women, or any other type of women that subscribe to the Western culture are dealing with. It's the same delusion. It's the same delusion in white women that's in black women right now. It's just expressed a little bit differently. It's worded differently because we express ourselves differently as our cultures are somewhat diverse. Our cultures are a little bit different, even though we are all dealing with the Western culture or the Western machine right now. So the other thing that I wanted to point out is that this couple here already pretty much gave you what the issue is. It's a self thing. You got to work on yourself as an individual and try to figure out what is the causes of these problems and address them accordingly, rather than this whole notion that you're going to just go date another race and somehow everything's going to be fine. White people aren't getting along either. White people aren't having successful marriages either. So I don't even know how this divestment thing could even, on face value, be plausible. But one more thing that I wanted to point out before moving on is that I'm not really so much about harping on the issues per se. I'm more solution orientated. So let me just even start off right now by just saying I already see what the issue is and what the solution is. The issue is that the women aren't being raised to be wives to begin with. They just aren't. You can't have no experience, no training in being a carpenter, and then you turn a certain age and say, why is nobody hiring me to be a carpenter? But you don't have any experience in this particular field or industry. Why would I employ you? Why would I hire you to do this? So these women aren't being raised to be wives, and there's obviously no one to model themselves after because their mothers and grandmothers weren't married either. That's usually the case nowadays. So where would you be getting this wife experience from? So that's pretty much the main issue, to be honest with you, aside from being so distracted by what everyone else is doing. If you were raised to be wife material and you found the man that was raised to be husband material, you could pretty much block out everything else that's going on and just deal with society when it comes time for your children to go to school. That's when what everybody else is doing is going to become important, because you're going to have to struggle to maintain the majority of influence over your children. That's when you need to be concerned with the masses. But as far as your own life as an adult, focus on you. So another one of the issues is that these women are actually making almost every life decision that would actually deviate them from marriage, and then they're blaming the men for not being proposed to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, interracial dating is fine. I think who you fall in love with is who you fall in love with. But again, when you say this group of people, in this particular instance, which is black men, are bad and you shouldn't be with them.
I'm going to show you why this young lady is one of the most hated girls on black TikTok. Roll the clip.
Black guys are not attractive. They are ugly. They're ghetto. They're nowhere near attractive.
So this is why I call her Cynthia G's little sister.
I think black guys look like burnt chocolate, and they always think they're girls hate for everything. That's why they act like.
I'm not trying to get flagged, but y'all see the flag, and I know what you're thinking. But according to her, she's not black. She's tan.
Nigga, please.
And actually, Patrick, I'm not black. I'm tan. I'm dark tan. Like, I'm dark tan. Really tan. I'm literally like dark tan. Yeah.
She said on multiple occasions that she's tan. And I'm not going to make fun of this girl. She clearly has some issues. And I'm 100% sure this is a defense mechanism from her being bullied as a child. Most likely by black kids.
People started bullying me at school, so I wanted to bully other people. I even told someone to go kill themselves.
Okay, so I threw that clip in there by my boy, the Confidence Creator. Go sub to his channel, man. Go check his stuff out. He keeps it really, really short and concise. I like what he's doing over there. Also a fellow New Yorker. But I put that in there because I wanted to start off with how this bullshit, damn, that's another cuss word. All right, so I just wanted to show an example of how this BS is affecting our youth. So, as adults, we have to be responsible on how our behavior, our words, our ideas are going to be affecting the younger generation. They have to take responsibility for how this affects young people. So if you're talking about, hustling, selling dope, whatever, you got to think, how is this affecting the young guys? Because you're glorifying this lifestyle and you're not letting them know how unlikely it's going to be for you to be successful and maintain your freedom or your safety in this lifestyle. You're not being honest with them. And look how many rapper how many actor has come along. When acting's a little bit different, because going into acting, we already kind of know this is fiction, suspend your disbelief, but we know it's fiction when you're watching movies and TV. But when it comes to hip hop, and music, these artists are portraying themselves as if this is me, this is the genuine me, this is my lifestyle, this is what I do, I'm real, I'm keeping it real. Okay, we're not being responsible on the images that we're showing our young men, and then we're wondering why they end up with criminal behavior. Now we have the women doing the same thing over here because they're not being responsible for the images and the content and the ideas that they're putting out. Now you have average everyday people influencing the youth terribly because now we all have access to a platform. And what are these black women doing with this platform? Telling young black girls to divest. These girls are already dealing with self-esteem issues. They're already dealing with colorism. They're already dealing with fatherless homes, and now you want to tell them that the solution is to trust in the dominating society, the same people that supposedly just a few hundred years ago were oppressing you? Is that really going to be a good look? Is that going to be good for a young black female's self-esteem? Telling her to run off to white people to get her validation? Ugh. Come on, black women. We got to be more responsible here. And you guys are supposed to be the mommies, the aunties, the grandmas, the nanas, the godmothers. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, black women. This is just getting out of hand. So something needs to be said. I'm going to try to be as respectful to women as possible since they're so easily offended and so easily triggered. They have a hard time keeping their focus on what's important. So.
And you're wondering, what's under that wig?
I am so pretty with or without fake hair. You jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Bitch, trying to get my stiff wear. Keep on hating.
At least she's confident. But yeah, she's taking this divest movement really serious.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me and Tracer. I'm on a date with Alan and I really like him. We're gonna see where this date goes. Hopefully Alan's here to stay because I really like him. And we will see where it goes. Do you like me, Alan?
I do.
Good.
That was awkward. You can tell bro was just trying to get laid, not end up on TikTok.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me and Tracer. I really want a baby with Brad. He's so hot. We make cute babies. I'm like pregnant. I really want a baby with Brad. He's so hot. Yeah, I really want his babies. I really like him. That's why I'm curling my hair now because I really like Brad. He makes me feel so loved. Like, this is what I like. A guy curling with me. This is art. Tan skin, white skin. This is art. Right now, this is art. This is artistic. Kiss me. Again. We just kissed on camera. Barbie and Ken. Hot, sexy white guys. Oh, yeah. Brad is so hot. Do you want my babies?
Mm-hmm.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Say I want your babies.
I want your babies.
Are you sure about that? I'm gonna be with Brad. He's so hot.
Sad thing is, she can't read social cues, so this ended up happening.
Oh, God, I hate doing one-night stands. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to. But he's so hot and has a big truck. And it's just a turn on guys like a big truck and guns. Those are the kind of guys I like. I didn't want to.
See, ladies, black guys aren't the only ones who hit it and quit it. Anyways, I know what y'all thinking.
Ho for show.
But you're wrong, because she has standards.
Self-worth and self-esteem is absolutely on the floor, and I hate that for you.
No, it's not, because I don't hook up with every guy. I'm not like that. I go on dates. I only hook up the second date if he's my type. Yeah. I have standards.
How unique is this young girl's situation? I don't think it's unique at all. I think there's a lot of young black girls that have the same mentality as her, are experiencing a lot of the same, issues, the same trauma. I can't help but think, where's this young girl's father? Where's her uncles? Where are the men? Where are the leaders? And you have black women insisting on being at odds and being at war with the very same people that are supposed to be leading you out of this. Black men are the solution, okay? But black women, they're not trying to cooperate. right? Generally speaking, they're not trying to cooperate. It's too few of them. Also, women in general have a really hard time criticizing each other openly, which is it's not a good look. They have to start being a little bit more honest. They have to stop letting the loudest voice represent them. This is how we've gotten where we are as far as the damage that feminism has done. Feminism was able to do this damage because women were quiet and let the wrong women represent them. There are plenty of women that say, well, I'm not a feminist. I don't believe in those views. Okay, well, why are you letting these women speak for you? Because they're the loudest people. They're the loudest people. And in the black community right now, the loudest black women are the ones with the most self-destructive message. And it's all self-destructive. Then you get upset with black men when they say, listen, I'm out. I'm out. Because I can't do anything. They won't even let me solve the problem. They won't even let me do my best. They won't let other black men lead and come in with some solutions. Black women don't trust black men to do anything. And it's not because we're not capable. It's because they've been trained and brainwashed by the farmer. Okay, the cow has been trained and conditioned over generations by the farmer not to rely on the bull for protection. And if you look at a bull is obviously designed and built to protect, to attack, to be a barrier, right? And black women aren't even allowing black men to do that whilst complaining that black men aren't doing that. You're not allowing black men to lead and then complaining that black men don't lead. How is this going to work? And then, to be honest with you, women are the ones that hold the power to choose. These guys could not be making babies, okay? These men that they complain about would not have access to vagina if women weren't giving it to them. So you mean to tell me that you're choosing the worst men in the community and then you're complaining that there aren't any good men? It just doesn't make any sense, man. Just imagine yourself as a consumer, black women. You can't go in a store and buy the worst option and then complain that there were no good options. They were. You just didn't pick them. You didn't pick them. You didn't want to consult anybody that was an expert on them. You had no guidance. Nobody taught you how to shop for this particular item, but then you're saying that there were no options available. They were. You just didn't know how to recognize them, okay? So that's a very, very glaring point that black women keep on tippy-toeing around and keep on dodging. They have the power of choice, and they're choosing inappropriately.
Because I am 100% divested, thanks to Kevin Samuels, thanks to Minister Japp, thanks to all of the manosphere. They're waking black women up, and I am ecstatic about it. And I do have a preference. Actually, I don't have a preference. I actually prefer white men. And it's just making that even stronger. You remember the girl Average at Best? Mm-hmm. She's with a white guy now. This is thanks to Kevin. I am ecstatic about it. So he's helping further the movement of divested women, and I'm just, I'm celebrating, you know what I mean?
So this is another thing that women do in general. They're always diverting the blame. It's always somebody else. This woman is over here saying that what a few guys are saying on YouTube is why you started dating white men. Wait, what? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And then she's also saying that she's had good experience with black men, but then she's given up on black men on a whole because of what Minister Japp, Kevin Samuels, and O'Shea Dude Jackson have said on YouTube. Wait, what now?
I think it's important to have these conversations because she did tell me that she was divested and dates white men. And you said it's because of Kevin Samuels. Explain that a little bit more. Is it because of him, or did you have experiences with black men? So it can't just be him.
No, I've had I've dated a few black guys, and I had good experience with them. But just hearing the talk, hearing what they're saying about black women in general, just hearing and watching what they do, and just the tension between black women and black men out in society. When I see a black guy, we literally look at each other and discuss. Like, he can probably tell that I'm divested, and I can probably tell that he listens to the manosphere. So it's just furthering the cause. And like I said, I don't support black love. I'm not into that. So it just makes me happy.
I got to be honest. I don't have much faith whatsoever in women to make the right decisions. I'm just being honest. I don't see it. I don't think it's ever been a good look in history to leave it up to women to decide. It just isn't. It just isn't in their nature, and they're just not capable of leading. I don't know what to say. You could call that misogynist. You could call it sexist. Call it whatever you want. But until you can show me women having the ability to lead anyone. I don't see women leading women. I don't see women leading men. I don't see women leading children.
Okay, and Raphael, you agree with her?
Yeah, thank you, Raphael.
Yep.
Okay,
We don't
Raphael,
base that. We don't. Go ahead. Go ahead.
do you date black women?
That's all I ever dated. Just till I moved out here in the burbs. You know, the first little pink toe tail I done got. I always had black women.
Excuse me, I think this is my exit. I
Okay.
think this is my exit.
So yeah, Raphael, we can talk about women respectfully. The pink toe, we don't have to go there.
What I said white. Okay, well,
That's not.
yes,
They're
yes,
still
ma'am.
women.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I date black women. Until I moved out here in the burbs, I've recently dealt with Caucasian women.
I want you to pay attention to this dude, Raphael. He's a perfect example of why you don't even try to have these discussions with women or debate these women in their space when they have home court advantage, because they're not going to play fair. They're not going to play fair. They're going to be the arbiters of what you can and can't say. And then you're not going to make any progress because you're not allowed to speak honestly and truthfully. This is the problem with letting women be in control of any space. Their feelings are going to dictate how they run things, and there's no honor in that. There isn't. If they can't separate their feelings from their authority, then they're not in a position to have authority. Again, I'm just being honest here. You can hate me for saying that, but until you can show me, so many examples of women being able to handle authority well, then I'm going to have to make the decision that's better for everyone, and that's not to let women lead or to be in a position of authority. He's also an example of the type of men that we don't need to have a voice, because this dude isn't even, first of all, nobody on the panel even respects him. He's not contributing anything of any value, and then he's letting these women, push him around and shut him up and treat him like a child, which is another thing about black women. They treat black men like black boys. No. That's not how that works. All right? That's not how that works. You got God, man, woman, child. That's how it works, in that order.
So conservative black woman, I have a question for you. So when Fresh and Fit, when they were saying this about black women and how black women are ratchet and ghetto and annoying, you understand you're a black woman, that would involve you?
Well, yeah. What he's looking at is like the Cardi B culture and society today and like the music and all of that stuff. But they know better. They know that all black women aren't like that. But it's like, why do we look at Fresh and Fit? He's going bald. Look at Fresh. Look at Fit. They're not handsome. They're quite unattractive. Like most of the guys in the manosphere look like O'Shea Duke. I mean, like none of them are handsome. Like why?
There you go. Speak up for the boss. You see how she just dogged?
Please. Okay, hold on.
They're always talking about weave and all of that stuff. We need to talk about bald heads. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm not going to go there right now.
That's not even close to the same, sister, at all. That is legitimately.
Well, we're talking about what's on top of people's heads. That's all you guys talk about in the manosphere.
Yes,
you talk about black women this, black women that.
That's not all that men talk about. One, it's $1 billion.
That's all I ever
It's
hear.
$1 billion industry.
So boom. Number one, we can see the hypocrisy, because she's over here saying that she recognizes that Fresh and Fit, we're talking about a particular type of black woman, but yet she is grouping all of black men into the same category. So wait a minute, they could be different types of black women, and supposedly you're not the type of black woman that they were talking about, but yet they can't talk about that type of, I don't get it. So you're saying that you understand that you don't identify with the group of women they were talking about, but yet you're still offended by it. You don't fit into that category. That's why I don't get offended when people say certain things about black men, because I don't fit into that category. So say whatever you want. I've been traveling since I was like a child. So I'm very well traveled. I'm very cultured. So you're not talking about me when you say that black men aren't cultured and don't travel. Then I am very intelligent. So you're not talking about me. I don't have any bastard children. So you're not talking about me. I don't have any warrants. You're not talking about me. My passport's always been valid. You're not talking about me. You know what I'm saying? I have several trades that I'm skilled in. So you're not talking about me. I can protect and provide and lead. So you're not talking about me. So right there, that's hypocritical that she, for whatever reason, can't differentiate different types of black men, but she feels that she somehow is this higher class of black woman. Then she's over here comparing Myron going bald to men in the manosphere talking about weaves, that is in no way, shape, or form the same thing. Number one, going bald is a genetic thing. That's number one. Number two, it has nothing to do with changing the appearance of your hair, trying to look like another race. What the Getting a weave is a choice. Going bald is not a choice. Getting a weave is trying to look like a different race of women. Either letting your hair go bald, wearing a toupee, using Rogaine or whatever, none of that has anything to do with trying to be something that you're not. Then the dude was trying to bring logic back into the conversation and remind her that, listen, you're going on a tangent about something that has nothing to do with nothing, which is what women do. They deflect and they project. They project their thought process onto men when we have very little in common in the way that we think or experience the world. And majority of the time, women's logic is so fucking off anyway. Sorry for another F-bomb. And then they deflect. They always change the conversation to something else to win that conversation. And that something else is always something personal. Men attack ideas. Women attack personalities. That's why when you dudes be over here trying to attack a dude's persona, a dude's character, I say, hey, that's feminine. Quit acting like a bitch, because that's what women do.
Woman, again, coming from the divestment community, I'm going to assume you listen to Cynthia G.
I do.
Okay, tell me what resonates to you when you listen to her. What resonates?
The fact that we need to stop having sex with Black men. I've already stopped having sex with Black men. I don't have sex with Black men anymore, and haven't in a few years. But yeah, just stop getting pregnant by Black men.
All right, Raphael, bruh, one more time. I gotta.
Right. Same thing for sister. Okay, I'll be quiet.
All right, Raphael, you need to just subtract yourself from the equation. You don't belong in a male space discussing serious topics with men, and you don't belong in a female space discussing anything with females. So what I want to point out about Raphael, because I want to use it as a teachable moment, Raphael is also showing you why a lot of self-respecting Black men just avoid the average Black woman. Because in order to be around them and have a conversation with them, you have to sit there and take shots like a Teflon vest. You see what I'm saying? You got to sit there and take shots like a punching bag. You got to let these women be disrespectful. You got to let these women be condescending. You know what I'm saying? You got to be belittled to be around Black women. Sorry, dude. I'm not volunteering for that. Okay, I'm not going to let anybody speak to me that way. I don't care about your color, gender, race, social status. I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't care how much money you have, what shade you come in. You're not going to be talking to me like that. Period. Right? But for some reason, to be around Black women, you have to just absorb all their anger and just deal with it. And this is the type of pushover that's willing to deal with that, which is why those are the type of men that women end up with if they decide to go ahead and settle, because that's the only guy that's going to be around that bad attitude. The quality dudes are going to do one or two things. They're either going to avoid you completely, or if you look good, they're going to smash and dash. Those are the options with a dude that respects himself and isn't going to hang around people that are condescending and disrespectful.
Women, I have to talk about this because I noticed there's this new movement on YouTube called divestment, where they promote swirling and dating outside of the African American community. And I obviously have no problem with swirling because I am the product of swirling. But let's be honest, most Black women will never successfully divest. And here's why. First of all, it seems like the divestment movement seems to support interracial marriages. That's great, right? But the problem is that most of the women watching those channels are not even marriage material.
All right, so this channel right here is very, very interesting. You guys should check it out. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, but I agree with all these points that she's making, as I've already made all these points. I've been making these points probably before YouTube existed. Just saying. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through some of the major reasons why this divestment thing isn't going to work. And I want you guys to keep in mind, pretty much everything that's going to be mentioned also applies to all English-speaking women. This ignorance isn't even a racial thing at this point. All right? So the first thing that she already mentioned is that these women aren't wife material. But again, that is not exclusive to Black women. Right now, they have constructed a reality whereas none of these women are marriage material. None of these women born after a certain year are marriage material anymore. Yeah, I'm sure there's a small percentage of them that are, but very, very few women are even marriage material these days. And what happens now is because of that, the bar is extremely low for two reasons. One, because so few of them are even marriage material, so guys got to kind of settle. And two, that so many of these men have been raised by these single moms, so they don't even know what marriage material is. They don't even know what the criteria is. They don't know how to pick a wife. They don't know how to differentiate. Oh my God, the world is, man, I tell you, boy, revelation. We are definitely in the end time.
Let's think about this logically for a moment. If this is how she talks on YouTube when she's not even that upset, this is just how she talks on the internet, imagine how she would behave in a marriage when she gets mad at her husband. I know that a lot of black men are used to being abused by black women because some of them come from abusive mothers. If black men don't like being yelled at, having things thrown at them, or called names, what makes you think a white man will want that?
This is one of my major talking points for black women when I try to explain to them why, listen, it's not even really so much a race thing. It's just that this bad behavior, this terrible attitude is very closely associated with black women. But it's not only black women that have this attitude. And I try to explain to black women that nobody's going to want to deal with that if they have options. It's that simple. It's that simple. All right. And that goes for just people in general. If you're around a dude and all he does is complain, all he does is bitch and moan, all he expresses is anger and contempt and dissatisfaction, and he's always blaming something or someone else, you're just not going to want to be around that dude because he's going to drain your energy. And all he does is surround himself with negative emotions and negative thoughts. So naturally, you're not going to want to be around that person. Well, I'm sorry, black women kind of have that reputation. And here's the problem. They live up to that reputation. Go to the post office. Tell me, what's the temperament of the black woman? Go to Wendy's. Tell me, what's the attitude? What's the temperature? What's the mood of the black woman? I'm just being real. Go to the post office, right? Go to Walmart. Go anywhere where you'll see the average black woman. Because I don't care how much they talk about they're so educated and so sophisticated and whatever. That's not the average black woman. And even those women have terrible attitudes. So what just happened? They still have terrible attitudes either way. All right? Just the facts. And it's so much so that when you meet a black woman who has a good attitude, you actually have to stop and say, oh, wow, you're not like most black women. You either have the balls to say that or you just think it in your head. And that's a shame. And that's not something that is exclusive to black women. I'm sure plenty of black men deal with it too because I've dealt with it. Oh, you're really intelligent for a black guy. What is that even supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? Right? Let's see what her next one is.
Anyway, let's move on to the next point. Proximity. Most of these women have never lived around, worked with, or interacted with non-black people. The main women complaining about black culture are also the main ones who grew up surrounded by it. Most of these women have never even traveled outside of the United States, let alone getting out of the hood. When it comes to marriage, people pick who they are going to marry based on proximity. But if a young black woman spends her whole life in the projects of Detroit, how is she going to come into contact with the next Elon Musk? And even if she does, what makes her think that she will be able to successfully capture his interest, get him to date her for multiple years, get to know her, bring her around his family, save up money for a ring, ask her father for her hand in marriage, go through premarital counseling, plan an entire wedding, honeymoon, join his finances with hers, and then sustain that for the rest of his life? I'll wait.
Yeah, I don't come across that many black women because I made it my business to move the hell out of those type of areas. So as soon as I started getting money on a micro level, I got the hell out of the hood, right? On the temporary, meaning as soon as I got enough money in my pocket, I would be on the bus, train, stolen car, whatever, to the suburbs, okay? So from a young age, I was already going elsewhere to network with different people, to acquire different resources, and also to find more viable options in women. So, like, that's just me having enough money in my pocket to go somewhere else for the day. I was already down to do that. As a teenager, I was already where the classier women were. I was already dealing with girls in the suburbs, whether they were black and they were raised by their mother and father, married, living in the same house, not apartment, not project, getting a car at 16 that their black father bought them for getting good grades, or if I was dealing with a white girl that was living the same type of lifestyle. I already knew I want higher quality of women, regardless of the fact that I'm from the hood, regardless of the fact that I'm out here hustling in these streets, regardless of the fact that I'm out here carrying weapons and getting it in on a daily basis, regardless of all of that, I still wanted a good girl. I still wanted a, you know what I'm saying? And I understood also at a very young age that good girls are attracted to bad boys. Like, I already knew. I knew that that's the power couple. When I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, I already knew in my mind that was the power couple. Was the really beautiful, well-mannered, you know, classy girl that was raised in a nice area, in a nice environment, and a hood nigga like me. You understand what I'm saying? So then when I started getting money, I moved to nicer areas. I moved to affluent areas. I knew I want to sell my artwork. I got to be in an affluent area. I got to be where people even care about art, where people are even going to buy my art. I knew if I wanted to be a personal trainer, I had to go where people could afford to pay what I want to charge. I don't want to work, you know, several hours a day for Planet Fitness and make damn near nothing. No, I want to be a private contractor and make some decent money. All right? That's simple. If I'm going to paint somebody's apartment, well, I'm going to paint niggas in the hood apartment. They barely going to pay me and they're going to haggle me on price. Well, I can go paint some rich white people's place and they're going to pay me good money and buy me lunch. I'm just saying, bro. Common sense. I agree with her with the proximity thing. It seems like even when black women are like educated and they start making good money, for some reason, they tend not to move where those people would live. And I'm not sure why that is. It's obviously something to do with feelings. You know, I'll bet any money it's something about their feelings and their insecurity why they don't want to live in these areas. But when I see black women living in areas like this, because I had this conversation with a black girl that lives in this building. I asked her to do the interview with me and explain to her, you know, why I'm even interested in it, because I put everything on the table. I'm always transparent with people. I told her straight up, I don't personally really want to interview you that much. But what it is that I get a lot of complaints that I don't interview black women, and it's simply because they don't be where I be. They don't be where I be. If I'm at Fountain Blue, there don't be no black women at Fountain Blue. You get what I'm trying to say? If I'm at Komodo, there don't be no black girls at Komodo, bro. Even Starbucks, you barely see black women at Starbucks. So where I be at nice places, do you see black women at Equinox? Do you see black women anywhere where it's like expensive to be? I don't know why that is. That's not my choice. That's them that don't come around. When I go to Whole Foods, I can go to Whole Foods on any given day, right? And there will not be one black woman in the entire Whole Foods. And it could be prime time, busy as hell, but I will see black men. Whether they're gay or straight, I still see plenty of black men in these areas. So again, black women, that's not me or that's not us. That's not black men. That's y'all. So when the quality men are meeting women just out and about in their daily routine, a lot of times those aren't going to be black women. So what exactly would you like us to do? Would you like us to go out of our way and go look for you? Where's Waldo? That's what you want to do? Where's Wanda? You want us to go out of our way to try to find where y'all be at? Why don't you be where the quality men are and be quality yourself?
Another thing I noticed is hypocrisy. If black men supposedly have higher divorce rates when they marry interracially, what makes you think that black women have perfect marriage rates when they marry interracially? Black men and black women are often a reflection of one another. I see a lot of women complaining about how black men are problematic, but who do you think raised these black men? Black women. Getting married isn't something that just falls into your lap, especially if you want to have a good marriage. It requires planning, strategy, and self-awareness.
Okay, these are, again, points that I've already made, so much so that I could point you guys to the videos that I've already done on these very same talking points. Exactly same point. So I already said that it's like black women are acting like black men are somehow the problems in relationships when, statistically speaking, our relationships are actually more successful than black women. They might be less successful than white men, but they're still more successful than black women. Okay, so right there, something's going on there, because if we have a better chance of getting married and staying married to a non-black woman, that right there is glaring evidence that black women need to do an overhaul. Okay, so already said that. The next thing is black women and women in general are constantly complaining about the quality of the contemporary man, or male, I should say. But who is raising these males? Men aren't raising these boys. Women are raising these males. So, hello, newsflash. How are you going to learn to be something without a teacher who already knows how to be that something? Women cannot raise men. Women cannot raise men. Women cannot raise men. Okay? Okay. In order to be a plumber, you have to be an apprentice under, master plumbers. This is how this shit works. All right? You're not going to learn how to be a painter from someone that doesn't paint. So tell me how women are going to teach boys how to stand and pee. How are they going to teach men how to build? How are they going to teach boys how to lead? How are they going to teach them any of the masculine qualities when they have pseudo masculine qualities? When we say a lot of these women have masculine traits, we're not saying that they're like pulling it off. They're not excellent at it. They're fumbling at trying to be masculine. They're failing at trying to be masculine. And the other thing that she said that I've already said, so much so that I'm pretty sure I did a video on it. I did. The video was called Wives Are Raised, Not Decided. And what I mean by that is you have to be raised to be a wife. From your childhood, you have to be taught these things. You have to be taught how to serve your father, serve your brother, serve your uncles. You have to be taught the dynamic between a husband and a wife. You have to be taught all these things in the house. You have to be taught what is the responsibilities and the requirements expected from your husband and of that of the wife. You have to learn these things growing up. So you have to be raised up on these values, right? You don't just turn to a certain age and decide you want to be a wife. It doesn't work that way. And I keep on drawing the comparison between that and being anything in the business world. You can't just decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go into politics. With what experience? How are you just going to decide you want to go into politics? It doesn't work that way. You have to come up in it. It has to be part of your culture, part of your upbringing.
My next point on why most black women will never successfully divest. Self-hatred. If you hate black people and you want to marry a white man, you will attract a white man who also hates black people, just like you. Also, a person who hates themselves does not make a good spouse. If you don't even have the capacity to love yourself, what makes you think you will have the capacity to love someone else? I'll wait. The next reason that most black women will not be able to successfully divest is due to delusion. Delusion. Let's think logically for a moment. Too many women want an above average man when they themselves are below average. But these women are not speaking out of logic. They're speaking out of anger. Most of them are just angry at black men for not giving them the worship they desired. And a lot of these women are now looking for white men to give them their narcissistic supply. They think that they can be an ugly, broke-ass ghetto broad who works at Chick-fil-A and marry Elon Musk. And these guys that they're trying to go after are not stupid. These billionaire Mark Zuckerberg types are not looking for some ghetto trashy woman to come in and steal all of their wealth. They're just looking for a non-black man to come in and solve their financial woes. If some of these women do divest, they will often get a bottom shelf non-black man at best.
I don't even want to add to this one on the racial aspect or the racial component, even though black women love projecting this one. They love throwing this Hadouken. You hate yourself. You hate yourself. You hate your mama. And it's like, there's nothing about black men's behavior that's self-hating. What the fuck? Where's these examples of black men hating themselves? But yet, I can see plenty of examples of black women not loving themselves. I see plenty of examples of it. In fact, black women tend to choose low-performing black men simply because they don't want to face the reality of, you don't bring anything to the table. So it's funny because they'll complain about these guys not being shit, but at the same time, you chose somebody that wasn't shit because you think that you're not shit. You see what I mean? Like attracts. So a lot of times women in general, I got to keep saying that because again, this is not just exclusive to black women. Women in general feel very uncomfortable when they have a guy that they know is way higher value than themselves. They feel very, very insecure because they feel like, I don't even want to like or fall in love with this guy because he could drop me or leave me the moment he realizes that he could do much better. So this is why they pick the worst of black men in the community, because the black men that are the best and the strongest in the community, what they're doing is they're overcoming the stereotypes. Okay, they're doing that bigger, better shit. They're doing that got to be twice as good to be considered half as good as a white man. They're doing that, and that is very, very intimidating to the average black woman. Just keeping it real with you. Before I move on, I said that I didn't want to dig too far into that on the race issue, but what I did want to do is point out that this is something that I mentioned before when I was saying that you don't want to date women that are post-wall. She's connecting self-hate with racial issues, but there are actually a lot of women in general who are dissatisfied with themselves simply because they're aging, because they're not in the best shape, or because they're a single mother, or because they know that they're a flute or a 304, or they know that they have a very, very disgusting sexual past. So what happens is there's a lot of self-hatred going on. There's a lot of low self-esteem. So what happens is it's very difficult to be with those women. Even if you're treating them well, it's gonna be problematic because they actually don't love themselves. So they're not even ready for genuine love from a real dude. So that's kind of how I want to show you the similarity in that. There's many reasons why a woman will be dissatisfied with herself, not just the color of her skin.
The next reason most Black women will never successfully divest is because a lot of them can't attract a husband of any shade. So how do you expect them to attract a husband of an entirely different culture? No matter what culture the man comes from, he still won't want to marry a woman with a horrible attitude. Any high-value man with integrity will want respect from his woman.
I'm gonna sidestep the race component of it because she is harping a lot on the racial aspect of it, which is fine because her channel is all about being light-skinned or mixed, exoticas or whatever. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. But anyway, so yeah, I want to go ahead and just kind of ignore the racial component. And I want to put it into perspective because this is an issue with women in general. You have women in general that are average or below average. Where comes the expression average at best? And it's crazy how these women are supposed to be so smart and so mature, but yet that expression went over all of their heads. That expression triggered them, it infuriated them, and they're constantly bringing up how upset they were about Kevin Samuel's signature comment of average at best, and they're taking it as an insult, not realizing that he's trying to sum it all up in a phrase so you can get it, what he's trying to say. You women are average at best, meaning like the best that I could say about you is you're average, but yet you want a guy that's above average. It's just not realistic, and it's not a match. He wasn't trying to insult anyone. He wasn't trying to offend anyone. He was trying to put it into perspective, like bifocals. But of course, women cannot get past the filter of emotion. They just can't get past the feelings aspect of shit, which is why they're not making any damn progress. But anyway, so this is just a common theme that we see with the modern woman. They want more than they deserve, and then they're upset and become bitter when they don't get it. The next thing is they end up having to settle for somebody, that's far lower than what they wanted. And then they're mad at everybody, not realizing that you got what you could afford. You got, what you were a match for, but you just overvaluing yourself, and that's why you can't be happy and be satisfied with what you have. So I just want to throw something in there that I find interesting. You will have all of these people nowadays that are so disappointed with their lives. They're so unhappy. They're so depressed because they keep on looking at social media. But here's the thing, though. The people that they choose to follow on social media is the minority that's doing very, very well for themselves. And they've convinced themselves that this is the majority, or this is everybody, or this is what they deserve, and this is what they're missing out on. It's like you're looking at 10% or 20% of the population that's doing better than you and saying that your life sucks because this person has a nicer car, this person has a nicer job, this person has more followers, this person's more beautiful than you, this person can afford plastic surgery, this person just got another boob job, this person just got another BBL. But time out. What if you were to follow people that only made less money than you, people that only had a shittier car than you, people who only looked worse than you? Then you have a completely different perspective on yourself. So I've always reminded myself, anytime I feel a little bit down, anytime I feel a little bit unsatisfied, anytime I get a little bit frustrated, I'm not reaching my goals fast enough, I remind myself, dude, you're doing better than 80% of the world. 80%. The moment that doing better than 80% of humanity isn't good enough for you, you're being ungrateful. So I'm always constantly thanking shout out to the passport gang. I'm always thanking the Most High for all my many blessings because I am aware that I am extremely fortunate, okay, to live the life that I live, to to go the places that I can go, to have the opportunities that I've had, to eat the food that I eat, to sleep in the bed that I sleep in. I'm fortunate, and I'm doing better than more than 80% of the world. Facts. That's the truth of the matter. But yet I see people that are doing better than 60%, 70%, and they still have the nerve to be miserable, to be unsatisfied, to be ungrateful, and not even applying themselves to get more. Don't be that person.
Sex. A lot of black women only know how to be a friends with benefits. They don't know how to get a ring. They don't know how to be wives. Sex only lasts for what, an hour a day? And I'm being generous by saying that. You still have to spend 23 hours a day with that person for the rest of your life. There's no way you can sustain a lifelong marriage all the way up to your 80s with just sex. No, you're delusional. I've noticed that black women are good at attracting sexual attention, but they are not good at attracting non-sexual attention. And it's the non-sexual attention that leads to marriage. Because marriage is about more than just sex. That's why even though black women are some of the most sexually active, they are still jealous that lighter-skinned and mixed women get married first. It's because a lot of exoticals know how to get the attention where it actually counts. And that's the non-sexual attention. I'm talking about getting attention for actually being feminine, beautiful, smart, talented, a good friend, a good mother, a good wife, a good girlfriend, etc. This is Blackistan women's biggest weakness. They don't know how to get the most important type of attention, the non-sexual attention that leads to marriage.
Any woman can have sex, but not any woman can be a wife.
Facts on facts on facts. All right, so yes, obviously any woman can have sex. Not every woman can be a wife. Okay, but this also applies to men. You have to be bringing a lot of masculine qualities, a lot of husband potential, a lot of protector, provider, father potential to the table if you want to be deserving of a woman that is the female counterpart of that. So, I mean, it's no secret that women in general, again, this is not a black woman thing. Maybe it was a black woman thing in the 80s and the 90s, but now this is Western women in general. They have this really, 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 really bad habit of not being able to differentiate sexual attention from non-sexual attention. And non-sexual attention is what gets you relationships. I mean, that's just what it is, right? So it's the same thing with men. Men are confusing, provider attention with sexual attention, and they're wondering why they're not getting really good results with these women. It's because these women can get a job and like provide for themselves, or they can just surf social media for simps that are going to give them money for all their needs and wants. So they don't really necessarily need you for a provider as much in their younger years, and then they're not attracted to you sexually. So that's the problem that you're having. You're not attracting these women on a physical level. And the women are having the opposite problem. They're attracting these men on a physical level, but not a relationship level, which is why these black women thinking they're just going to divest or just going to get pounded out by some white meat, and then they're going to get discarded and passed to the side just like they do with the dark meat, right? So that's what's happening with that. I don't know why it's so hard for women to understand, but then again, I do, because they didn't grow up with fathers in the house. Much like the last point that was made, women wanting things they don't deserve, women not being able to accept they don't qualify for these things. You know why boys tend to understand these things, or traditionally boys would learn these things? Because not only would you have a father to teach you, the trials of life, but also when you start playing sports, that's one of the first places that you learn how to deal with rejection. I remember the first time I went out for the basketball team, I didn't make the team. And I was away at school at the time, so I didn't have like my grandfather or my uncles to kind of like be there for me. But I had a coach that, even though I didn't make the team, I was passionate about getting on that damn team, and I came to him for help, and he helped me, and he gave me some time. He gave me some mentorship. He gave me some guidance, and I was able to work on it. And I also practiced a lot with certain guys that did make the team. I practiced with them on the weekends, and then the next time that I tried to get on the team, I got on the team. I wasn't starting, but I got on the team. And then I had to bust my ass and do what I had to do to become good enough to finally get to start. Like, I remember the first time that coach was like, "Gordon, I'm gonna start. You're starting next game," and I was like, I was looking around for another Gordon. I was the only kid named Gordon I was the only kid with the last name Gordon on the team. But I was like, so a lot of these women, they never had those experiences in their childhood where they had to work at something, develop, a skill set, practice before they were worthy, before they were accepted. Okay, so the lack of fatherhood, that's gonna perpetuate that issue, and they're not gonna get this hard reality until they're already adults, and they're not going to know how to deal with the rejection or how to work on themselves to become good enough to be accepted. And coming over to the sexual thing, not understanding non-sexual attention, the first place that a female learns non-sexual attention is from her father. And when they don't get that attention, what do? They grow up seeking attention from men, and then they learn through association that the easiest way to get attention from men is sexual. So they start dressing a certain way, they start behaving a certain way while they're still virgins, but they're already, giving all these signals, these sexual signals, and then they become a thought, they become a 304, they get an early pregnancy, and then they blame men.
And that's why black women are mad. It's because they've been pumped and dumped. Trust me, they're having sex. A lot of them have multiple kids and baby daddies, so they're getting sexual attention, but that's not what they ultimately wanted from men. They wanted the ring. They wanted a man to dedicate his life to her. They wanted a man to look her in the eye and say, there's no other woman that I would rather have in this world than you. And they never got that. So now they're mad. They're mad at the women who do get that, which tends to be exoticals. And then they say men are colorists for doing that. That's not colorism, sweetheart. That's called inner beauty. And it's clearly something that you need to work on. I can't stand this narrative that anytime a mixed or light-skinned person gets married, it's only due to colorism. No, there are men out there who prefer dark-skinned black women too. So stop trying to put everything on your skin tone as an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, hey, again, this is something that I'm constantly repeating. It's like, look, you're not marriage material to begin with. So stop complaining that the men are low quality. It's not that the men are low quality. It's that you have nothing to attract or sustain a man of that caliber. And this is like Kevin Samuels' entire message in a nutshell. And yet women hate him. Women hate him for that, for just simply saying you don't qualify.
There are things you can do as a woman to hold yourself accountable to make sure that you can attract a husband. Marriage is not something you can be passive about. It's not something that just falls into your lap. You can't say things like, I don't care about marriage, and then expect to get married. How do you think your man is going to feel if he just spent $5,000 on a wedding ring and he's planning to fly you out to the Caribbean so he can propose, and you're over here saying things like, I don't care about marriage? Are you serious? Some of these women are delusional. If you want to be married, the first thing you need to do is be honest and admit that that's what you want. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be married. It seems like a lot of people see it as being a pick-me or being soft if you say you want marriage. But if you're going to lie to yourself, okay, that's fine with me. I mean, hey, it's your life.
Specifically black women, I get tired and frustrated, and I almost want to give up on trying to explain this to black women. But instead, what I'm going to do is develop a successful platform where I can say this to thousands of black women at the same time. That way, whoever wants to listen can listen. Who doesn't want to listen, continue, crying and complaining and moaning and being lonely and being miserable and unsatisfied. You can continue doing that. But for the black women that are willing to listen, right? It's not your color. It's not your complexion of your skin. It's your attitude and your behavior. So when you see these light-skinned women and these non-black women getting these men that you want, it's not so much their complexion, it's their attitude. Now, granted, their attitude might be better because of their complexion. And that's not a him thing, that's a her thing. Because what happened was she didn't know how to deal with society growing up, so she developed this hard, negative, bitter exterior as a dark-skinned woman, so now she's unbearable to be around to men. So that's unfortunate, but you have to figure out what's going on and fix the problem. We don't all have the same hurdles to jump over. We don't all have the same trials and tribulations, but we all have to figure out how to get over or around them or under them, whatever we got to do to get to the prize that we want, whatever we got to do to get to the desired results, we got to do what we got to do. We got to make the adjustments we got to make. So as a light-skinned woman, your issues aren't going to be the same as a dark-skinned woman, but I guarantee you there are going to be issues, okay? So what happens is guys are going with who's the most feminine, the most pleasant, the most cooperative, the most submissive. And if that's not you, sister, you're not going to get chosen by that guy. It is that simple. Stop hating on Kevin Samuels and start listening. So this is another thing that's going on. It's probably been going on, but now we have more and more terms to describe it that we're all familiar with. You have all these women over here calling other women pick-me's like that's an insult. It's an insult to be chosen. It's an insult to be picked. Huh? That's like when black women are all mad and saying, oh, because all these white girls are on your dick. Like you saying that that's a bad thing. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a bad thing that women of all different walks of life find me attractive. Oh, wow. How dare I? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. So you have these women that have been taught, brainwashed, and conditioned to think that being feminine is being weak and being soft. Admitting that you want marriage is somehow weak. Serving a man is weak. Wanting to be a housewife is weak. All of the things that would be considered qualities about women and femininity now has been described as weak, right? And losing and being a slave and all these derogatory terms. Well, guess what? There's nothing new in that magic. That's the same thing that they've done to the black community. Being on time is white people shit. Being well-spoken is white people shit. Using your brain to solve problems is soft. That's white people shit, right? So all the negative qualities in the black community, we've been conditioned to think that those are good qualities. So black women think being hard is a good thing. That's not a good thing for a woman. Being soft and delicate for a woman is a good thing.
The next reason that most black women will never successfully divest is due to bad backgrounds and lack of role models. It's unfortunate that a lot of black women come from bad backgrounds and have bad father figures in their lives. But if you do have a good, strong, solid father figure in your life and your mom and dad are married, you are at an advantage. Because as a woman, your father will teach you what a man wants. Your father will help teach you how to attract a good man to be your husband. And the same goes for you, young men. If you have a good mother figure in your life and she is married, your mother can teach you how to treat a woman and get her to want to be your wife.
It's unfortunate that a lot of black women come from bad backgrounds. But I'm going to go ahead and say the same thing to the men that I would say to the women. There's a lot of guys that are struggling with their masculinity. There's a lot of guys that feel inferior. They feel inadequate, right? They feel like something's missing in their manhood. What I tell them is identify those things. Identify those insecurities. Whatever you feel that you're lacking in, this is the information age. Go seek that information. Go seek that guidance. Seek that mentorship. Whatever it is, okay? If you think your sex game is weak, seek that information and learn how to improve your sex game. If you think your building and repairing game is weak, learn how to build things, learn how to repair things. If you think your problem-solving skills are lacking, learn problem-solving skills, dude. You shouldn't have time for anything else other than making money to pay your bills and finding solutions to your issues and your problems and building a more secure self, right? So it's the same thing with the women. Yeah, you might have had an unfortunate upbringing. Femininity might not have been on the table in your household. Okay, you might have had women that were terrible role models. Okay, well, you can walk, you can talk, you can read. Seek that information. Seek feminine older women that are going to help you, teach you, mentor you. You got to look for your own answer. You got to look for the answers that you need. Stop looking for the answers that you want and start looking for the answers that you need.
My next point, lack of education about the culture of the men you are trying to swirl with. You've never interacted with people of other cultures. You know nothing about them. You're not even good at choosing men in general. But suddenly, because he's white, he's going to be your new Prince Charming? You're telling me that you're going to go from Pookie and Ray Ray to Jeff Bezos?
All right, so yeah, we're out of here. That's the last one. And what I will say about that is, again, facts. That's a real issue. Black women over here acting like they're going to divest, like they're going to somehow simulate into this dominating society. It's like, yeah, but you haven't been dealing with that your whole life. My first girlfriend was not only white, she was English. Why? Because I was in England. Proximity. So my first girlfriend was white by proximity. That's who I was around. But because of that, when I got back to the States, and I started dealing with black women, I instantly was able to see this is not as good. This is worse, right? This is not the best that I can do. So I already knew. A lot of black men, they find out way later on that they don't have to deal with all the shit that they were dealing with from their women. There are far better options out there. Culturally, I have always been exposed to different cultures. So dealing with white people ain't nothing new to me, okay? I've lived in Mexico, so dealing with Latin people wasn't new to me before I went to Mexico. I was dealing with Latin people in other times in my life. So I played on sports teams with non-black guys as well as black guys. So dealing with non-black people has never been an issue for me in my entire life. So when I'm dealing with these people, it's not because I'm like trying to escape the hood. I'm dealing with them because they're just good people. And I've always been used to dealing with good people. Going back and forth from nice areas to bad neighborhoods, I did that growing up, right? My entire childhood, adolescence, my teen years, my early 20s, I always had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the hood. I was always back and forth. I still could go to the hood whenever I feel like it. I still could walk through the projects right now if I so chose, if there was a reason for me to be there, right? But I also can go to $1 million community and I'll be just as comfortable. So I don't know why it is that black women think they're just going to all of a sudden start dating these non-black guys. You don't even understand black men. You think you're going to understand white men? I don't know. But anyway, service announcement for my sisters. Don't fool yourself. Be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Y'all have been destroying yourselves for decades now. And this divestment movement, it's probably the worst idea that you guys have come up with in the past 40 years. I think it's time for y'all to just accept maybe you need to find strong black men to lead and help find solutions for these issues, because y'all not doing it amongst yourselves. You are not. All right? From Oprah all the way down, black women are destroying themselves. Their echo chamber is terrible. Terrible, terrible. And you are doing more damage to yourselves than any black men or white men or men of any color could possibly do to y'all. That goes the same for black people in general. We are doing more self-destruction than any other group of people could ever do to us. So it's time to wake the fuck up. That's my last F-bomb. I'm out of here. Keep it authentic. Peace.